Welcome to this LinkedIn ads crash course. We're going to go right from the basics of setting up an account to understanding Campaign Manager, which is kind of the technical stuff, which is kind of the foundations of what we need to understand, all the way up to understanding the different objectives, targeting types, bidding strategy, ad creative. We're basically going to go through the whole lot. I'm going to put timestamps at the bottom, so it's going to be really clear. You can jump around if you want. If you really just want to understand bidding strategy, you can jump there. If you really want to understand targeting, you can just jump to that section. This video is sponsored by my blog, b2bhero.co. There's a link in the description below. And specifically, there's a really useful article on b2bhero.co, which is all about Campaign Manager. It's like a mega article, which I'm going to be updating regularly. I also have a targeting course, which is completely free. It's a video course hosted on Thinkific. It's totally free. You can just sign up with the link in the description below. So the first thing you need to be doing is setting up an ad account if you don't have one. So go to LinkedIn, just linkedin.com. If you don't have a LinkedIn account, you probably do, then just sign up to LinkedIn. And once you're logged in, you go to work and advertise. And once you click on advertise, you're going to have something pop up, which basically just asks you a few questions. Make sure you, it's going to be your account name, probably link up your page, and make sure you put the right currency, because I don't think you can change that later actually. So put the right currency, and then you're going to be taken to Campaign Manager. You're going to have an ad account and you're going to have a Campaign Manager, which is kind of cool. And I have a whole massive video just on Campaign Manager, so I'm not going to dive in too deep about Campaign Manager in this video. Go check out that video, but I'm going to give you a little overview. Generally speaking, first thing always do, you're going to just have the default campaign group. And in the other video, I go into more detail about the different capabilities of each. Don't use the default campaign group. Hit create campaign group, create, and this is it. If you create campaign group, you get basically taken here, which tells you, fill out that stuff, and then you get your own campaign group. And the difference is that this is more customizable. You have less campaigns within a campaign group, but you can't change the name of this, and you kind of want some, flexibility, which, your own campaign group offers. So just get your own campaign group. Generally speaking, how it works is that you have accounts. It's all based around a hierarchical way. So you have your accounts. I have loads of accounts in accounts because I manage ad accounts for clients. So I have access to, whatever, 10, 12, 15 accounts at a time. So that's where I'll find them there. And you click in, and then you're in their ad account, and within the ad account, you have campaign groups. And at a group level, you got to think about it as kind of like if you have two separate services or two separate products, maybe one will be going to one and the other one will go to the other. Or another way you can set it up. So it's kind of like the highest level in your ad account that you want to make sure, the majority of stuff will be in the campaign, section, but your campaign group will just focus on like the bigger thing. So it's like, okay, we have this one product. Let's do all the campaigns, that one product here, and A/B test it all. Or if you want to break it down even further, you can, for example, have, okay, we have this one product, but we have this type of marketing campaign for that product, which is all based around webinars. And we want to A/B test a million things around webinars and demand generation around webinars, or, VSL, type of flow. And then we have another strategy based around just lead generation, gated content, some other kind of strategy. So you could set it up like that. And it's quite cool. At this level, you can turn all the accounts, all of the campaigns and ads within a campaign group off just by one click. And you might want to do that, say if you don't want to be adding, running ads at night or on the weekends, you might want to do that. But generally speaking, this is the highest level in your ad account. And then you have campaigns, and then within campaigns, you have ads. So most of the stuff is done in campaigns. The campaign level is all about, this is a test account. This is a training account. So I've got loads of random things here. Ignore the naming convention. I have a whole, setup for naming conventions that I'm probably going to have a video on soon, or have one already. Maybe I did one. But basically, at this level, it's all about who you're targeting, your bidding, your objective, and that's those are the main things at this level. So is it a video ad? Who you're going to be A/B testing? Okay, we're going to be this campaign is going to be testing this specific CEOs, and another one's going to be testing the marketing director. So all those kind of different A/B tests are going to be happening here. And in the ad level is where you have, for example, your ads. So in this level, you have campaign groups, you have campaigns within campaign groups, and you have ads within campaigns. And the ads at this level is where you test, for example, different landing pages. So you can set one ad going to one landing page, another ad going to a different landing page. Or you could, for example, A/B test one creative or another, or you could be A/B testing one copy or another. So these are different, or one lead gen form versus another. So this is at the ad level, the stuff you'll be looking at and testing. So that's generally the overview of that. If you want to give someone access to your account, say you don't want to do it yourself, then you go here and you go to manage access, and you can have the different levels. So you click edit, and then you add a user. You just type in the user's name. I believe you have to be linked, a first connection with the user. So for example, do you have to? I think you do, yeah. So yeah, you can look, this is me, added me, and you have different levels. So you have account manager, campaign manager, creative manager, and viewer. The different levels are more detailed in the other video, but basically account manager is the highest level. Campaign manager is kind of what you probably would give someone else who doesn't need. Account manager is the level where they can give access to other people as well as do everything else, whereas campaign manager is more like they are just doing the adding. They don't need to be changing, like, okay, let's add other people to the to campaign manager, LinkedIn campaign manager, but they have access to all the different various things they need to do in terms of creating campaigns. Creative manager just can change the creative level, the creative, so they don't have access to a lot of things. They can just change the creative. So this is to give to, like, you know, your creative individual doing the creatives. The viewer is just to see, you know, someone who can just see the account. They can't actually change anything. So basically, if you as a viewer, I often ask to become a viewer. When I audit an account, I just say, give me viewer access, so I can't change anything, but I can check your account, I can audit it. So that's the viewer level. And the person who sets up the account becomes the billing admin, which is important because that's what, you know, is the highest level, and they can change, you know, the billing, the credit card, and the billing stuff. So you can actually change. Only one person, I believe, can be a billing admin, but you can change that here as well. The other thing that's important to know here is the billing center. So this is where you add your credit cards, and this is where you can add coupons. So you can find coupons for $50, $100. I've even found some for $1,000. I haven't been able to get one for a while, but I managed to get a couple, which is quite cool. And I've managed to give this to people, my clients and other people, which is really cool. And it's where you find your receipts and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's really important. So the first thing I really want us to understand is all about the pixel or the LinkedIn Insight tag. And again, I have a whole video just on the LinkedIn Insight tag. I also have a ton of information about the LinkedIn Insight tag. I'm bringing out loads of content around the Insight tag on b2bhero.co, the blog. So check it out. It's all about how to install it on various different platforms and that kind of stuff. But basically an overview of that is if you go to conversion tracking, you can find your Insight tag here, manage Insight tag. So C tag. And then the first thing you should be doing is installing it. And, you know, you can install it directly on your website. Here's the code. Just put it in the HTML body tag. You can send it to a developer, or you know, the way I recommend is go to Google Tag Manager and do it that way. So this video is not going to show you how to do that. I have a whole video based around how to do it on Google Tag Manager. I'll put a link in the description below, or check on my, you know, series on LinkedIn ads. But this is the best way to do it. And I would recommend doing this pretty quickly because you're going to get just a ton of information. So if you see this visit demographics, this is where you can basically, so this test account doesn't really have it, but this is where you get really amazing data which other platforms like Facebook or Google can't give you, because LinkedIn refers back to its job demographic type data, so it understands where people work, what are their job titles, what kind of industries they're in, you know, this kind of data which other platforms don't have. So if you put that on your website, and this is totally free. So for example, if you're sending traffic from Facebook or Google ads or wherever, or just getting traffic from SEO, then you can just analyze the data from the LinkedIn Insight tag right here in website demographics, just to understand who the types of job demographic type information people are coming from. You can't find this on Facebook or other platforms. So you can see, oh cool, loads of CMOs are coming to my website, and you can see that here. Or for example, it actually gets quite ABM. It even tells you from the larger companies who came to your website. You can see, okay, so, you know, 2 or 3 people from Coca-Cola came to your website. Interesting, let's go contact Coca-Cola. So that kind of data can be found here in website demographics, but you need to install the LinkedIn Insight tag. So check out that video. So let's set up an ad and go through the whole setting up ad process. So go here, go to create campaign, and you're going to be taken to, you know, this place here. You can change your default campaign group. As I said, you know, use different group. I would if it's telling you to use the default, go to your other one. I wouldn't use the default one. And then once you click next, you get to this. So the first decision you need to make is your objectives. And there are these different objectives here. The first one being brand awareness. And again, I've got videos on each of these different sections which go really deep on each of these sections. This is more of a beginner's crash course, so you get a really good understanding of it. But check out those other videos, or check out the B2B Hero blog, which also goes in deep into this kind of stuff, especially that one article about Campaign Manager. So brand awareness, generally speaking, just to give you an overview, the two I use the most are website visits and lead generation. And, I A/B test sometimes website conversions, maybe video views. The other ones I never really use. And let me explain. Generally speaking, website visits and website conversions are when you send people off from the platform. So if you want to send traffic to a website, to your landing pages, then you're either using website visits or website conversions. And for the Facebook ads people out there, you'd all suppose that it's website conversions is better than website visits, because with Facebook's ads manager, you're using the conversion pretty much 90% of the time to get people to convert on your website as a B2B marketer. With LinkedIn, it's just not the case. LinkedIn doesn't really have enough data. And I've A/B tested website visits to website conversions. I test it all the time because I kind of am thinking that it's going to change over time. But actually, the results I get are website visits just does better most of the time with the conversion. So I more often not just use website visits over website conversions. That might change in the future. But website visits is when you want people to go off from the platform. And it's normally bid by, the click. And I'll go into bidding strategy in a little bit. But the next one you'll be using, and probably the one you'll be using to start with, is lead generation. So lead generation is if you want to keep people on the platform and use a lead generation form to get the lead. And the reason why you'd use a lead generation form rather than sending people to like an opt-in page to get the lead, which is the same objective, but using a landing page versus a lead generation form, there are pros and cons of both. So if you use a lead generation form, the pros are that it's probably the cheapest lead cost per lead you're going to get. Because there's so little friction. It's an auto-filled form, which you just get. So it's a really low friction way of getting a lead. The con is that you don't really have a big impact on the prospect. They never leave LinkedIn. They don't really see your, brand and font and communication and, get a good, impact from your website. So often than not, people will just forget they even did it. It's so simple. It's a couple of clicks and they become a lead, and then they forget they even did it. And, the second thing that I have to say about that is that you have less control. So often, if you're sending people off from the platform to an opt-in page to get the lead, you can say, okay, I have this awesome gated content, sign up to it. They sign up to it. What I often do is then redirect them to a sales page, which is the sales page is where you're trying to get an action, a higher level action, such as do a demo, schedule a sales call, do a free trial. This is the action. So you get the lead, and then I'm redirecting them to the action. And some of those people will then be doing that. I send the gated content via email. And on that sales page, I'm saying your gated content is coming via email, but how about you do the next step? So some of those people will flow through and actually do the next step. And that's kind of the holy grail in marketing, where you have just a flow of people coming from paid ads going all the way to the action you want them to do. So then you can just fill your calendar with demos, sales calls, or free trials, whatever it is. But it's really hard to crack. So more often than not, I'll start with lead generation as a rapid fire test because it's easier to crack, and then it puts more emphasis on the sales team to convert then the lead into an action. But I'll bring out a whole video around rapid fire testing, and in rapid fire test number 1 that I do for my clients, I start with lead generation. I start with everything just on the platform, and this is what I recommend to you as well, because you're going to get loads of data and learnings from keeping people on the platform. You can test copy, creatives, audience targeting, bidding strategy, all this stuff that's really foundational to your campaigns. You can do it just by lead generation campaigns, and you're not worrying about all this other stuff like from landing pages, which landing pages are super hard to crack, and that flow is really hard to crack. So you need like kind of a really enticing offer on the action page as well. So I would recommend starting with lead generation forms. So yeah, generally speaking, those are the two main ones that I use. Brand awareness being campaigns which are just trying to get, tell people more about the product, service of the company on LinkedIn. So just give them some brand awareness. So you can do video there as well. Video views is an interesting one. A lot of people might want to do video views to start with. But with LinkedIn, I often feel it's kind of a middle funnel kind of platform or bottom of funnel platform because it's expensive. So it's hard to just do video views. So on Facebook, the strategy would often be put loads of video in front of them, and then retarget the video views, say a percent of video view, so they watch 50% or more. Let's retarget them with then like, okay, download this thing, let's become a lead or do this action. With LinkedIn, that strategy works less. So I don't often do that, but I'm always A/B testing that. And I think that's going to become more of a strategy in the future, maybe. But it's a really, on Facebook, that definitely works. So video views, you can then retarget by percentage watch of the video, which is great. You should definitely check that out. And if you are interested in getting creating a infographic type video, then contact me. I've got a really good supplier of that. But yeah, I find like for B2B SaaS companies, creating an info video animation type video, which explains your market and your product and to what problem it solves, is a really good way. So definitely contact me if you're looking for that. I've got a really good supplier and I'd love to recommend them. So engagement is more like trying to get likes and trying to get people to follow your company, trying to get this kind of stuff. I don't really use these kind of campaigns on LinkedIn. On Facebook, maybe. On LinkedIn, not so much. This kind of campaign could work if you're like Coca-Cola or big company. I then might use this if you're a huge company and you're working more around engagement and brand awareness. Website conversion is explained as basically similar to website visits, except you're telling LinkedIn what conversion you're looking for, and that's how it's kind of trying to optimize. So it could be trying to, say, for example, optimize for people getting to the action sales page. So they opt in and they get to the sales page. So it will count as people getting to that page. But the optimization doesn't really work because the data it collects off from the platform is not very good. Job applicants, again, is I want to promote my job opportunities to my company. I never really use this. Tell people about relevant job opportunities, drive more applications. To be honest with you, I've used this stuff before, and I would actually just use a website visits or lead generation ad, even if I'm trying to get people to do a job application. So I'll just say, fill out this form and, or go to this website and fill out the Wufoo form on the website or the whatever form on the website. I would use that over job applications. Right, so let's just pick one. Let's start with lead generation, which is what I recommend to most beginners to start with. And now let's talk about audience. So the audience is, you need to set a location, which is quite obvious. So you can just do that by clicking this little pen and put a location. You can exclude locations, which is totally, normal to do. Set the language. So, here you can actually just set people to speak a specific language. I pretty much solely work in the English language. I do work in some European language regions, but often it's in English as well. Now the audiences. So I have a whole free course on targeting, which goes over everything you need to know about targeting. So I'm going to go over this now on an overview, but definitely do that course. There's a link in the description below. It's a free targeting, like a pro course. And it goes way more deep into strategy. Check it out. But basically you have audiences and audience attributes. This is how it sets it out. It has two different options. Audiences, think about it this way. Audiences up here is more about like the list, like retargeting type audience, lists you upload, and lookalikes and retargeting, third party kind of data. Whereas audience attributes is like cold, targeting people purely on a cold basis. So, if you want to, if you upload a list, this is a great ABM strategy. You can do so here. And there are two ways to do kind of an ABM strategy. You can either upload a list, which is the easier, but it's the less time consuming way, but it's also less accurate because LinkedIn will just come back with like the data saying, oh, we processed 90% of your list was correct, but it doesn't say which of the 10% wasn't correct. So it's a bit of a problem if you have some companies you really want to hit and you're not sure if they're part of that list or not. The other way you can do it is just going to company and then company names. And basically this is the way you'd upload it one by one, Coca-Cola, or say my company Superlumen, right? This is the agency I run. So you can type in companies one by one and you can do that there. So it's a really cool, it's a really great thing. LinkedIn is known to be an amazing place for ABM strategy, and I would highly recommend it. I would use basically going to company and company names. If you have, say, like under a few hundred names you want to target, because it's more accurate. But if you have like thousands in your list or over a few hundred, it's really time consuming to do it that way. So then I would just do it, upload a list. I'll just upload this. So lookalikes, again, from that list you can create lookalikes, which generally on LinkedIn don't work that well. On Facebook, it's all about lookalike strategy for B2B, I'd say. I think I've got a video about it. I'm bringing out a video about B2B targeting on Facebook, which works super well. And I basically did a massive campaign. I made a video about this where I spent $65,000 in 1 month on Facebook ads, and I just proved how lookalikes work really well. Cold targeting was a complete failure on Facebook. But it's kind of the opposite with LinkedIn. You go to LinkedIn because it's such good cold targeting, and but on the other hand, the data, targeting is pretty bad. It doesn't have very good data. So retargeting is where we hit up all the different, retargeting campaigns we want to do. So if we want to retarget anyone who visits our company page, we can do that here, or we can, we have to set this up in Campaign Manager, but we can retarget events, we can retarget lead gen forms, interactions, video, like how much % of each video, and you can retarget your website here. You've got third-party stuff, and there's other, which is just random stuff. So yeah, you have all that there. And then you have audience attributes. So this is probably where we would be focusing as a beginner mostly. So we have company. Here's where all the different company stuff. The main one you need to know is basically is company names. No, not company names. Company size. So company size is really important. Like how big do you want that company? And you could do category. Is an interesting one. Growth rate is something I haven't experimented with enough, but it's actually quite interesting. But the two you really want is company industry and company size here. The industry is really, really great. You can just target specific industries. Demographics is not very good on LinkedIn. It's the age and gender, and no one really says the age of gender on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn's just making that up based around like the gender is based around names, so it gets this wrong all the time, and age is based around how many years experience you have in a certain industry. So it's just making it up. It's not very good. Education is really interesting. So you can target by member schools, field of study, and degrees. So that's great. You have job experience, which is seniorities is a really good one. And you have job function, which is a really good one as well. And you have member skills, which is a really good one. And the last one is interest traits, which is like groups. So I have basically 5 different ways of targeting, and check out the course because I go in much more detail about this. But basically it's list targeting. So putting a list into is number 1. The second way of targeting is all about job title. And this is the primary way everyone targets. But the thing about this, we need to target beyond just job title, because job titles only get something like 40% of the people you could be targeting on LinkedIn. So out of the 100% of everyone that is in your ICP, through job title, you only reach like 45% of them, and you're not reaching this underserved group. So we need to find a way to reach this underserved group. And the reason is because LinkedIn has a free form field when you put in your job title. So it's very inaccurate, but everyone's basically targeting just by job title. So that is the most expensive way to target, but also the most accurate. So I always use job title as a base, as a foundation, as a benchmark, and then I use these other ways to compare to job title. So a second one is, for example, doing it by, so job title. The second one is skills, and skills can be really great, but it's hard to use. So for example, I'm a LinkedIn ad specialist, but you can't target me by job title LinkedIn ad specialist because I just don't have, LinkedIn doesn't recognize LinkedIn ads specialist or professional as a job title, but it does recognize LinkedIn ads as a skill. So you can actually target me really, really well through that skill. So that would be a great occasion to do it. The other one is maybe it's a good way to hit these other underserved people but I'd recommend always doing long keywords. So not just marketing, maybe it's more like, performance marketing or very specific skill like LinkedIn advertising, or for example, something that, not everyone reckons they have marketing skills. So if you just put in marketing, everyone in sales also thinks they have marketing skills. So you'll hit everyone up. So you've got to get long tail keywords for the skills. So skills is number 2. Number 3 is
is actually groups. Groups is one of the ones I use all the time. It's amazing. Just compile a list of groups and put it in as, type in these groups. And groups is great because LinkedIn groups are crap. So if you're part of a LinkedIn group, you're really dedicated to that topic. So if it's about, sales, you're really dedicated to sales groups, or about if you're really into like saving Mother Earth, you're into these kind of groups. Or if you're really into like supply chain management, you then go down to the supply chain management. So if you're part of a supply chain management group, you must be pretty passionate about it, because it's pretty dry stuff and LinkedIn groups suck. So groups, which is good, because then we're targeting, probably this means these people are more active on LinkedIn, and secondly, they're really passionate about the topic. So it's a really great way to target. The fourth way I believe we're on is job function, which is like a department. So just targeting whole departments, but I'll definitely A/B test. It's a bit of a general way, but I'll definitely target by job function. And you can layer this on with seniority. So for example, if you're targeting groups, you should layer this on with seniority, because you don't want to target everyone in the group. You might want to target just like, for example, these specific groups in supply chain management. And I only want to target, the CSOs or the CEOs or whatever it is you're trying to target within those groups. So layer that on with seniority, and that goes the same with skills and the same with job function. So you can do job function with seniority. That's actually a really good way of doing it. For example, check out the course though, it goes into way more detail around strategy. Okay, so now that we understand targeting a little bit more, I would always unclick the enable audience expansion. And the reason is because we're going to LinkedIn, we're paying premium prices for LinkedIn ads. We want to just be really specific with who we're targeting. We don't really want LinkedIn to go out and go, I think we want to target these other people as well. We just want to target the exact people we want to target. With Facebook, that works again, because Facebook's algorithm is amazing, and we want to target, let Facebook do its algorithmic magic. Whereas with LinkedIn, we don't. We don't really want LinkedIn to do anything magical, because it can't. We want to be just very specific of what we tell LinkedIn to do. So get rid of enable audience expansion. I'd also save your audiences. It just saves a lot of time in the future when you're, doing loads of different A/B tests. So ad formats. You have numerous different ad formats. You have sponsored content, which is basically single image ads, carousel image ads, and video ads. And sponsored content are basically, are ads that come basically right here. So this is a sponsored content ad. This is a single image sponsored content. It's the prime real estate on LinkedIn. And it's amazing. It's like the place you should start with, just like either a single image ad, because it's the simplest, or if you really want to get, do a carousel. I don't need to carousel if it makes sense to do a carousel. So if you have like a conference and you have numerous speakers, then it might make sense to do a carousel ad. But generally speaking, between carousel and single image converts better, I find. I think carousel gives too many options. And video ad, it's not necessary to start testing that straight away, but you can put a video for sure. So that's sponsored content, and you can have lead gen forms to all the sponsored content. So as you can see here, we have a lead generation campaign objective, and you can have lead gen forms on single image on sponsored content, i.e. the format which goes into this prime real estate right on LinkedIn. It looks like a normal ad, and this is an ad right here. Then you can also add it to a message ad and a conversation ad. So message and conversation ads are really, something people... So message ads are like in-mail. You can send loads of people that in-mail that you probably receive on LinkedIn all the time. And conversation ads are more like a bot-like experience, which are more interactive and gives the prospect a choice. You can do multi-funnel things here. So for example, instead of just saying, okay, are you ready to, sign up to this thing right now? You can say, are you ready to sign up to this thing right now? Or maybe you just want to learn more. So you can give that option, and then people can click learn more, which gives them another bot and tells them more about it. Or the third option, for example, could be, how about you're not ready to buy now, but you're ready to learn more through gated content. We have this really cool gated content. So you give people an option for conversation ads. I have a whole video around conversation ads coming out very soon. So definitely subscribe, hit the bell button to check out that when it comes out. But these are the ad formats. You can have lead gen forms on these ad formats, or you can have the not a lead gen form and send them, have the call to actions to send them off from the platform. But look, if we change to website visits, then suddenly we get a few more different ad formats. Text ads are again, I have a whole video and loads of stuff on my blog about this coming out, but text ads are really underutilized, and they're the cheapest ad format out there. Text ads are these really weird, they don't always come up. So let's see if I can find some here. But no, this is a dynamic ad, but basically they're on this right rail. Let's refresh it and see if it comes out. But basically they're on this right rail on LinkedIn where they are, the click-through rates are notoriously low because they're just like not in prime real estate. It's out. Very few people look at them. Click-through rates are like 0.2 to 0.3%. So 2 to 3 people out of every 1,000 impressions. So again, this is a dynamic ad. But basically it's similar to this, except you get a little picture, 1 by 1 pixel picture plus a bit of font on the right. But they're amazing. The click-through rate's really low, but the cost per click is the lowest you're going to get as well. And actually, it's a great brand awareness. If you bid this just by the click, then it just constantly pops up on the right, and you start getting some brand awareness for free. You're not getting charged for this because you're not paying by the impression, you're paying by the click. So they're really cool. And also they're the lowest. I would just be running this in the background all the time and get quite aggressive just with text ads because it's a way to lower your average cost per click. So I would 100% do text ads as an ad format. Spotlight ads are basically the create ads that are personalizing profile data and promote. So yeah, it's basically spotlight ads, which are dynamic ads, which is basically this one over here. It puts like the prospect's face next to your logo or next to what you have on your business profile image. So you can, do it's kind of like a job ad. Job ads are basically the same, get the latest jobs industry. So this is a job ad, but dynamic ads are this basically, which is a spotlight ad or a job ad. So job ads are to get people to, do that. You can do follow ads, which are also this. This is a follow ad, follow their company. So that's all the dynamic stuff that I don't ever really recommend to do dynamic ads. I find the click-through rates low, the cost per click's high. It's not very good. I'll keep A/B testing it, but I've not found it very useful at all. I'll just stick with text ads and sponsored content or the messaging ads, which are these two. And then you have event ads, which are, again, I've not really experimented with. It's a new ad format, and I'll be experimenting with it in the future. I did do a campaign a while back, which didn't do very well, to be completely honest. And it's all about just getting people to sign up to your event. So definitely worth a try to A/B test it more. I'll be definitely trying it out. The one I did wasn't very good. I also think you can do the same thing with sponsored content. So let's move down from formats down a little bit, and what's next is this LinkedIn Audience Network. Again, I don't recommend LinkedIn Audience Network because I think if you have a campaign where you just need to spend budget, then go for it. But generally speaking, I want to get these premium people who are on LinkedIn in the right mind frame that they're on when they're on LinkedIn. And this is what I'm paying a premium for. So generally speaking, I don't recommend LinkedIn Audience Network unless you've got a really big budget and you need to spend it quickly. Then it's a great way to reach more people for sure. All right, bidding. Bidding is a really important part, and basically there are a few different ways to bid. The main one being cost per click or by the click, and the other one is basically by the impression. But also you have different ones for conversation ads, so it's cost per send. CPS, cost percent, is for those. So generally speaking, I would always follow this strategy I'm going to tell you now, but I would always recommend starting cost, like targeting by the click, because you have full control. So if you have really low click-through rates, i.e. people just aren't really engaging with your ad and not really clicking through, then you're not paying, and you can learn from that and change your ads. Whereas if you're doing it by the impression, then you're going to be paying by the 1,000 impressions, no matter if people are clicking through or not. So I'm going to show you kind of an advanced way of getting the lowest cost per click by bidding with impressions at the end of this little section. But to start with, I would always just start with bidding by the click. You want to have full control from LinkedIn. So one thing to always learn is just keep as much control as you can, and don't give LinkedIn any control because it ends up just wasting your budget. And here's the strategy. Follow this strategy. Bid by the click. Basically, we have maximum delivery. Never choose this. It's just basically LinkedIn's, trying to deliver as much as possible. Then you have target cost, which is LinkedIn spending roughly what you want it. And then if you click down here, you have manual bidding. This is the option we want, and we want to manually bid. And this is the strategy we're going to use. So here it's saying that £3.90 is, we recommend bidding £3.90. Similar advertisers are bidding £3.90 to £4.30. This is generally not very true at all. And so what you should always ignore that. And what you should do is come here and just put a 1 and then a red. Okay, so it must be £3.90. Let's just go back here and try to, get an audience, which is a real audience. Let's do job experience. Let's do a job titles, and let's do like CEOs. Okay, let's get CEOs from a specific industry. Let's call it industry. Let's call it software. So it's like B2B, SaaS kind of stuff. Okay, so we now have 720,000 people. Let's have a look what the bidding will be here. So still £3.70. Oh, here we go. So now it's going to say £10.33. We recommend bidding £10.33. And it'll probably have here, when you come here, it'll have £10.33 because this is the bottom it recommends. So it'll say bid by £10.33. Similar advertisers are bidding this much. Ignore that. It's totally untrue. Come here and just put a 1. And then it's going to tell you what the floor price is. So this is the floor price. So now put in the floor price. Before we continue, get rid of enable bid adjustment, high value clicks. Just take full control. Don't let LinkedIn do anything you don't want it to do. So basically, £3.70 is the floor. It's telling us that £3.70 is the floor for the CEO in the software industry type thing, industry type targeting. So let's start with £3.70. And once you set your campaign at £3.70, let's see how much budget is spent over a period of 24 hours. And basically, the budget is a function of your budget. The bid is a function of your budget. So say if you want to spend only £20 a day, you can probably get away with spending that. But let's say if you want to spend £50 a day, right? So at this point, if we put the lowest floor bid, and after 24 hours, we've seen that only £30, say £20 was spent, that means we're not bidding enough. Our click-through rates is not high enough. It's not quite spending enough money. So one thing we can do now is raise it. Let's raise it from £3.70. Let's raise it to £4. So now we wait another 24 hours, and now we've spent £30. Okay, that's still not quite enough. Let's go to £4.50. Suddenly we're spending, 45. So let's just raise it to £4.60. And now we spend say £55, but now we're roughly around the point of £45 to £55. We want to spend 50, but we need a bit of margin here because it's not going to be the same every day. It depends on the clicks and your click-through rate, how many clicks you can buy during that day. But suddenly we've reached a price which is going to be spending. We've basically reached the least bid we can based around the amount we want to spend a day. And a lot of the time, these kind of bids are based around these averages, but we're not trying to average out. Like a lot of people who advertise on LinkedIn are like these massive enterprise companies which are spending tens of thousands a month. So they need to be bidding much higher than you to get the volume they need, right? So if we're just trying to do £50 a day, our volume's quite low, or even £20 a day. Often you can get away with the floor. You can get away with the floor, and that's what you should be doing. And if you're not getting enough, then raise that bid slowly, and slowly you're going to get to a point where you're spending roughly what you want. And at that point, your bid is the lowest it can be on LinkedIn, and you're being the most efficient, and you're focused on performance. So just focus on that strategy, start at the floor and raise it slowly day by day, waiting 24 hours until you're spending roughly what you want. But remember, some days it might be a little bit more, some days it might be a little bit less. So just adjust your bid based around that, and that's going to be the lowest bid you can possibly do. Apart from working on your click-through rate. So another way to get lower, if you want to spend less, another way is to work on your click-through rate, which is all about your creative and copy and your offer. So that's something that's a little bit down the line. But if you're creative and copy, if you're getting really high click-through rates, then you can actually bid less. So now comes the time for this expert advanced strategy that I would do. And this is all about if you have a high click-through rate. If you have a really high click-through rate of 1% or more, then I would actually switch this from landing page clicks to impressions. And this can actually bring and then you want to bid high. So it's telling you £37 to 95. I'll just go straight for, start like high, like 80 £80 per 1,000 impressions. The reason is because you have such a high click-through rate that the cost per click, when you work out, you're not bidding by the CPC, cost per click, you're bidding by the CPM, 1,000 impressions. But when you do work out your cost per click by bidding by the impressions, it actually should be even lower than the floor sometimes if your click-through rate is high. So if you see a click-through rate of 1% or more, this is a super secret strategy, 1% or more, then what you should do is change to the impression, bid high, get really aggressive with your, how much you want to bid by the impression, and you should then at this point be getting even a lower cost per click than potentially the floor, or lower than the cost per click. So you're basically just getting as many impressions as you can, and you know those impressions, you have a good click-through rate, so those impressions are being clicked through. So that's what you should be doing. So here it's all about conversion tracking. I'm not going to go too deep here. I'm going to bring out a whole video just about conversion tracking and retargeting and all this kind of stuff. So check out that video. Definitely subscribe, hit the bell button. But this is a little bit too advanced for this video. So now that we've set all these different parameters up, we should be clicking next, and it'll say save. I've already done this here. And you can go here and click on browse existing content. And so I've got this existing content here, which is just stuff this is a training account. So you can click here and choose other ads that you've created. Or for example, if you've got a post that was really successful, you can actually just get your, organic posts you've done on your company page and turn them into an ad. And you can do that by browse existing content. Otherwise, you want to create a new ad. So you'd click here. So to create a new ad, you click there, and you should give a name to this ad, and this is just for you, for sanity's sake and organization. So call it that, and then you want to have you put in your ad copy here, and you want to tell it its destination. If it's a lead gen ad, you don't need to put this here. If you're sending people to a landing page, you need to say which landing page you want to put it to, and then here's where you upload your image. Here's the headline, and description doesn't really matter. So let's go through these different sections. And then here is where you can actually put your lead gen form. You can create a new form here. And let's just use the one that I've got already. So let's edit this one. So I put in, this is a lead gen ad, LinkedIn report, marketing managers. So this is who I'm targeting. And basically here's my copy for this. And with the copy, it's really important to A/B test just really short one-liners. I found to work really well, and a little bit longer. We don't have very many words. Like on Facebook, it's more about storytelling, and long form works really well. On LinkedIn, it's really get to the point. And this is my recommendation to you with ad copy. Just get to the point and tell them what you want from them, because people on LinkedIn are more busy. They want to just get to the point quicker. And often with this, it's about giving them some kind of value. And a lot of campaigns on LinkedIn are about lead generation. So giving them something of value so you can collect that information and follow up with them later. So those are the majority of campaigns. So this is what this is. I've got this generate huge demand for B2B businesses ad. And basically my copy is straight to the point. Download the guide, which shows you the exact LinkedIn ad system we use to generate B2B businesses a huge amount of demand. Straight to the point. I would A/B test just that one liner with the extra. In the guide, we show you how LinkedIn ads can be the most powerful and scalable way to get hundreds of high-value prospects, CEOs, CTOs, CFOs, HR directors, founders, IT directors, etc., learning about your business and into your pipeline. Click to download. Simple, right? I think this did pretty well. So the destination is my LinkedIn ads page, where I get people to sign up to a phone call with me. And I've got this creative, which is kind of bright thing. All my super lumen stuff is really bright. I've got unicorns and stuff like that. That's just my style. It seems to really work for me. And I've got it here in the headline again. It's just to the point. Download the LinkedIn ad strategy report. Simple. So that's to do with the copy. And something to do with the creative, I would say, is A/B test numerous different creatives, because I've seen loads of different click-through rates just based around creative. And the framework I think is really important to understand around this is the creative is to draw your eye in, to stop someone from scrolling. So think about someone scrolling on LinkedIn. The creative draws them in, and the copy sells the click. So think about the creative all about just stopping them from scrolling, so that the objective of the creative is to make them read the copy, and the objective of the copy is to sell the click. You want to sell the click in the copy. So think about it in that kind of framework. And so you're not trying to tell too much in the creative. You're trying to get someone to be curious, and so then they read the copy. And in the copy, we're trying to make them curious enough to click through to then get to the landing page, or to sell them on the gated content if you have a lead gen form right there and then, to say why this gated content's awesome, and you should give us your contact details based on that. So once you've set that all up, you click save, and you will then have this ad. And what you can do then is actually duplicate the ad and then change one factor. And this is how to A/B test this. So I would always duplicate like 3 or 4, and then say, okay, version 1 is this creative with that copy. Version 2 is a different creative with the same copy. Version 3 is a different creative with the same copy. Version 4 is a different copy, but the same creative as one of the other ones. So now we have a baseline of what A/B tests, and then in round 2 we can A/B test further and further and further, base what's working around the creative and copy. And things you'd be A/B testing here are the creative, the copy, but also the offer and the landing pages. So you might want to A/B test, for example, 2 different landing pages. So you would do that here. You'd send some traffic to one landing page and then the same traffic but to a different landing page, and A/B test which landing page converts better, or for example your offer. So for example, you might be saying, okay, this gated content versus that gated content, or this gated PDF content versus a webinar, which is converting better in terms of what do people want more of. So I do have a video coming around just about gated content offers, so definitely subscribe, hit the bell button, because that's going to be a really good video actually that I've been planning for some time. Right, so now we've done all that, we can click next, and once we've clicked next, it's going to ask us to review everything, and once we've reviewed it, we can launch it. So save and exit, and it's going to be here. And let's go over quickly naming convention. So let's click back into managing this. And so the naming convention I have, which as you can see there, it's a total mess. And so what I'll do is click here, and you want to first start with what kind of ad is it going to be? Is it sponsored content? Is it dynamic ad? Is it a text ad? And then you put here, so for example, sponsored content SC, and I put this nice little line. But the other options might be text ad, so you might be text ad, right? So that's what you're doing. Let's start with sponsored content. And the next thing is the objective. So is it a lead gen ad, or is it a traffic ad? Or is it sorry, not traffic. Sorry, my brain is not working. But let's go back to here. Is it a website traffic, right? WT. Or is it website conversion? Or is it a video ad, right? So this is where we put that. So let's put it as a lead gen ad. Then the next one is the audience. So we just go through this one by one. Okay, what's the audience? So here I would write something like marketing managers or something, right? And then you could also do a slash and software as an industry. So that's it. Also, I would probably write something. You could also add, for example, the types of job title, and that's the job title targeting. Or maybe we're doing groups. So I would actually put groups here, and then I would write groups, and then groups would be like marketing groups generally, or for example, supply chain groups. So that would be there. And then you can be A/B testing different types of things there. And then after that, you would go down and you would do, you can also add, for example, how big. So I'd get a bit descriptive in this section, how big company. So then after that, you can just copy this campaign and change, for example, everything will be the same, including the ads. But the one thing that will change is the targeting. So instead of groups, you might have job title, or you might do job title, and one is targeting marketing managers, while the other one is targeting marketing directors. So that's what you change there. So the ad campaign in Campaign Manager will look exactly the same, but you can see one's managers, one's directors, or one's groups, and one's targeting by job title. So you can really clearly see the different click-through rates and different stuff, and you can learn a lot from these A/B tests. And this is why the naming convention is really important. And then, for example, after that, we talk about ad format. So, okay, is it a message? Is it, what kind of ad is it? So, for example, is it a single image ad, or is it a video ad, or is it a carousel ad? So you put that here. So single image is there. And then after that, it's basically bidding you don't really need to do unless you're A/B testing specifically there. But then what I would do after that is say, for example, what kind of creative maybe you're A/B testing, so or where it's going. So if it's going to opt-in page, right? So one thing I often test is, okay, let's test sending this same traffic to an opt-in page to get the lead, then redirect them to the sales page, versus just sending the traffic directly to the sales page. Let's see how that works out. So this could say opt-in page or sales page, or for example, or before that, if you're also testing, gated content option 1 versus number 2, so you could have, okay, we're testing all these different factors, and it's really clear at that point what's going on. So it might take a bit of time for you to get your head around that, but for me, then when I have like 10 different campaigns, I straight know this is sponsor content, it's lead gen, and I'm doing groups, supply chain management, single image, and we're trying that gated content number 2 and opt-in page. And then there might be an exact same one below it, except the difference is sales page. So I know the one thing we're testing there. Then another one, except we're changing it with gated content 2, opt-in page. So now we're testing these different things. Another one, okay, let's test out 3 different types of targeting. So suddenly we've got all these different targeting types, different opt-in pages, different, and we're testing all this different stuff. This is called rapid fire testing. And I'm making a whole video just around rapid fire testing because it's a super important, strategy or thing that I've made up to do around LinkedIn ads. So that's pretty much it for this crash course, but there are much more detailed videos. There's one popping up now about LinkedIn lead generation ads. And this is the first thing I'd tell everyone to do if you're just starting out, do lead gen ads. So check out that video. Or if you haven't set up your LinkedIn Inside tag, make sure you do so, and you can check out this video on how to do that.